Before I joined the Empowered Connection Circle with Dr. Kim at Dr. Kim Answers, I was so overwhelmed with everything that was going on in my life. I felt like I had been completely depleted from all energy, from all emotional giving. And I was in a place where I was lost. I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know what was expected of me by my creator. I knew I was tested, but I felt like I was failing the test. I had been giving for so many years to everybody around me, and I was pushing to make sure that I was successful in raising my children. My ultimate goal from everything I was doing back then was to ensure that my two sons grew up to be strong men, responsible human beings, respectful human beings, honest and God-fearing. But I didn't realize that the process through which I was trying to achieve my goal was wrong. It wasn't what I wanted to do, it was how I was doing it that made me lose myself. I used to say yes to everything. And I realized that no matter how many times I said yes, I always ended up feeling disappointed or surprised by people who were disappointed in me. And those who were disappointed in me were the ones supposedly closest to me. And no matter what I did, I could never satisfy them. So I felt lost, and I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And in the process, I lost me. I lost Rasha. So knowing Dr. Kim, Gordon, and her capabilities and the long history we have together, as soon as she presented this opportunity, I jumped on board. And what the Empowered Connection Circle did for me was a breakthrough like no other. I realized my strength. It was actually a breakthrough more than a realization. That everyone that claimed to be disappointed in me was actually intimidated by me because they couldn't handle my value. They couldn't handle my energy. They were intimidated by my strength, and my aura challenged them, and they projected on me. And I also realized, and it was a second breakthrough actually, that those who disappointed me are those who never aligned with me, that I had high expectations of people who were never capable in the first place. And that if it wasn't for me being in their lives, they would not have been where they were at the time. And so the breakthrough for me was that I was the instrument that God had brought into their lives to actually help them. It wasn't the other way around. I was their test. They weren't mine. And that was a breakthrough like no other. And as I continued to learn through the program, I realized that I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I'm actually a lovable person, and that I give without expectation. And that is something that I would continue to uphold. I would like to uphold that for forever. I mean, until the last breath I have on earth. And that Dr. Kim's program allowed me to realign with my creator, in the sense that it wasn't about the end result. It was about how I was living on a day-to-day basis. So the breakthrough was fixing the process and not to worry about the outcome. And so that's what I've been working on ever since. That it's just beautiful to live on a day-to-day, and that in each test there is a blessing, and that in each blessing there is a test, and that we're not meant to be comfortable in this life. at least I'm not meant to be comfortable in this life. From a sense of like no work to be done. There will always be work to be done, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional work. And so I've learned now to look in the mirror and say to myself, good job for how you interacted with yourself today, Rasha. Not with other people, but good job for what you have done for yourself today. And through that came my interaction with people, how I presented myself to the world, how I showed up every day, how I used my time on a quality level with every person that I met, my intentionality in solving a problem, or my intentionality of how I thought about a process or a task that needed to be completed. And then on days when I was tired, I would tell myself that I'm tired and that I will do what I can for the day, and that my sustainer sees what I'm doing, and that if I can't push, he will know that that is my limit for the day, but he will continue to sustain me so that I'm able to live and provide for my family. And so for any woman who's going through what I went through in the past, I would like to say, show up and be vulnerable. Show up to the Empowered Connection Circle and be vulnerable. Show your vulnerability, because in that circle, you'll be able to be encompassed by a lot of love, safety, understanding, and by people who are willing to help you figure out your struggles. They're not going to give you solutions, but they're going to be listening to you, and they're going to remind you of so many things that are good in this world, and they will be your supporting force that would allow you to come back to yourself. I hope that a struggling woman hears my story today, my testimonial, and I hope that it resonates with her. And I hope that whoever listens to my testimonial understands that even though we come from different parts of the world, different colors, shapes, faiths, and beliefs, we're ultimately women. Yeah, we're human beings, but we're women who are sensitive creatures. However, we're very strong, even though we're soft. But in our softness comes a lot of strength and endurance. And I hope that whoever is hearing or is listening to my story gets inspired by it, and understands that everything ends, but the beauty is in the journey. Everything comes to an end. But I now realize that the living is in the journey itself, it's not the end result. We feel like we're chasing and chasing and chasing, but we don't know what we're chasing. We're chasing peace of heart. And that will only come by understanding that this is a journey and we're living our individual stories in this world, and each one of us is the hero to her story. I'm a hero of my story and of my life, and I look back now and I am so grateful for every single day, single moment of pain, every single struggle, every single achievement, and every success that I've experienced. Everything that I've went through has a different taste and I feel for it differently. And I'm grateful for the growth that I've achieved in this process. It's been an amazing journey with the Empowered Connection Circle. I hope to continue to learn from the leader of this program. She's just phenomenal and a wonderful human being. Thank you.